Have you ever stared at a blank exam paper, feeling your heart pound in your chest and your mind go completely blank, even though you spent hours studying the night before? You sit there watching the clock tick down, paralyzed by the overwhelming pressure to perform. This is exam anxiety, and if you have ever felt it, you are far from alone. Millions of students face this exact same terror every single year. We treat exams like monstrous hurdles that are designed to break us, rather than what they actually are, which is simply a test of what we know at a given moment in time. But what if there was a way to completely flip that script? What if you could walk into any examination hall, not with dread, but with a deep, unshakable confidence? Today, we are diving deep into a transformative approach to academic success outlined in the book Face Exams with Confidence by M.K. Devidasan. This isn't just another book telling you to study harder or sleep more. This book takes a powerful strategic tool used by top corporate executives and Fortune 500 companies and applies it directly to your study desk. We are going to explore how to master your exams using the art of the SWOT analysis. By the end of this video, you will have a complete blueprint to dismantle your exam fears and build a personalized strategy for absolute success. To truly understand how to face exams with confidence, we first need to understand why we lose that confidence in the first place. M.K. Devidasan points out that our fear does not come from the subject itself, but from our lack of a clear strategy. When we study blindly, just opening a textbook and reading from page 1 to page 100, we are hoping for the best. Hope is a wonderful feeling, but it is a terrible strategy. Without a plan, every difficult chapter feels like a massive roadblock, and every forgotten formula feels like a disaster. Devidasan argues that confidence is not a magical personality trait that some students are just born with. Confidence is the direct byproduct of preparation and self-awareness. It is the peace of mind that comes from knowing exactly where you stand, what you need to do, and how you are going to do it. This is where the core concept of the book comes into play. Devidasan introduces the SWOT analysis to the student's world. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Usually, a business uses this to figure out how to beat their competitors. But as a student, your competitor is not the person sitting next to you. Your competitor is the syllabus, the time limit, and your own procrastination. Let us break down exactly how you can conduct a personal SWOT analysis for your upcoming exams, starting with the letter S, your strengths. Identifying your strengths is about figuring out what comes naturally to you and what you have already mastered. It is easy to obsess over what we do not know, but Devidasan emphasizes that acknowledging what you do know is the foundation of your confidence. Ask yourself, which subjects do you genuinely enjoy? Which topics can you explain to a friend without looking at your notes? Maybe you are incredible at memorizing historical dates, or perhaps you have a natural talent for solving complex mathematical equations. Let me give you a real-life example. Imagine a student named Rahul. Rahul is terrified of his upcoming finals. If he just looks at the massive pile of books, he panics. But when he sits down to write out his strengths, he realizes he consistently scores high in physics and English. Suddenly, the mountain looks a little smaller. He knows he does not need to spend 10 hours a week studying English. He can review it quickly and bank those marks. Your strengths are your safety net. They are the areas where you can score maximum marks with minimum effort. By identifying them clearly, you free up your mental energy and your study time to focus on the areas that actually need heavy lifting. That brings us to the letter W, which stands for weaknesses. This is the part of the analysis that requires brutal honesty. We all have academic blind spots. A weakness could be a specific subject like organic chemistry, or it could be a specific type of question like long-form essays. But a weakness can also be a behavioral trait. Maybe your weakness is that you fall asleep every time you open a book after 8 p.m. Maybe your weakness is that you read slowly or that your handwriting becomes completely unreadable when you are rushing. The magic of the SWOT analysis is that by writing your weaknesses down on paper, you take away their power over you. They stop being this vague, terrifying shadow in the back of your mind and become a solvable problem. If we go back to our student Rahul, he might write down that his biggest weakness is memorizing biological terms and that he gets easily distracted by his phone. Now he has a target. Devidasan advises that you should never ignore a weakness, hoping it will not show up on the exam. It almost always does. Instead, you build a bridge over it. For Rahul, this means dedicating his peak focus hours in the morning specifically to biology, and perhaps leaving his phone in another room entirely while he studies. You do not have to turn every weakness into a massive strength, but you must neutralize it enough so that it does not drag down your overall performance. Next, we look externally with the letter O for opportunities. Strengths and weaknesses are internal. They are about you. Opportunities and threats are external. They are about your environment and the resources available to you. Opportunities are the tools, people, and situations you can use to your advantage to get a better grade. M.K. Devidasan urges students to look around and realize they are not fighting this battle alone. What are your opportunities? It could be a teacher who is always willing to stay after class to explain a difficult concept. It could be a highly effective study group with your smartest friends. It could be an incredible YouTube channel that breaks down complex math problems into simple animations. Even the exam timetable itself can be an opportunity. If you have 3 days off before your toughest subject, that gap is a massive opportunity to revise. Many students fail to see these opportunities because they are too stressed out. They isolate themselves in their rooms, trying to force the information into their brains. But a strategic student looks at their environment and asks, who or what can make this easier for me? If you are struggling with a weakness, finding an opportunity is often the fastest way to fix it. If you cannot understand a chapter in the textbook, the opportunity is finding a different author, a video lecture, or a tutor who explains it in a way that clicks for your specific brain. Finally, we must confront the letter T, which stands for threats. A threat is anything in your external environment that could derail your study plan or hurt your exam performance. Devidasan is very practical about this. Threats are the reality checks. The most common threat in today's world is digital distraction. Social media algorithms are literally designed by the smartest engineers in the world to keep your attention away from your textbooks. That is a massive threat. But threats can also be physical or environmental. A noisy household where you cannot focus is a threat. An upcoming family wedding right in the middle of your study month is a threat. Even your own health can be a threat. If you are sleeping 3 hours a night and living on junk food to study, the threat of falling sick right before the exam is very high. By mapping out these threats in advance, you can build a defense mechanism. If the noisy house is a threat, your mitigation strategy might be to study at the local library. If social media is a threat, your strategy is to use website blockers on your laptop. The goal is anticipation. When you anticipate a problem, you can solve it before it actually impacts your grades. Once you have completed your SWOT analysis, Devidasan explains that you must translate this raw data into an actionable study plan. A SWOT analysis is useless if it just sits on a piece of paper. You have to use it to allocate your time. Traditional study advice often tells you to divide your time equally among all subjects. The SWOT method proves this is highly inefficient. Why would you spend the exact same amount of time on a subject you are already brilliant at, as you do on a subject you are failing? Instead, you use the concept of strategic time blocking. You allocate the majority of your time to transforming your weaknesses and neutralizing your threats. You schedule your study sessions for your hardest subjects during the time of day when you have the most energy. You schedule the review of your strengths for when you are a bit more tired because it requires less cognitive load. This targeted approach ensures that every single minute you spend studying is moving the needle. It builds momentum, and as you see yourself understanding concepts that used to confuse you, your anxiety naturally begins to drop, replaced by genuine earned confidence. Beyond the preparation phase, Devidasan also delves into the psychology of the exam hall itself. All the preparation in the world can unravel if you let panic take over in the final moments. The book offers several real-time strategies to maintain your confidence when the paper is finally in front of you. The first rule is to never read the entire question paper from start to finish the moment you receive it. This is a classic mistake that triggers instant anxiety. If your eyes catch a question you do not know the answer to on page 4, your brain will panic and you will suddenly forget the answer to the easy question on page 1. Instead, Devidasan suggests tackling the paper strategically. Skim only to find the questions related to your core strengths. Answer those first. This does two incredible things. First, it secures your baseline marks immediately. Second, and more importantly, it gives your brain a massive hit of dopamine and confidence. You prove to yourself right away that you know the material. By the time you navigate to the questions that target your weaker areas, you are already in a state of flow, feeling capable and calm. Furthermore, mastering time management inside the exam hall is a direct application of mitigating threats. Time is the ultimate threat during a test. Devidasan advises setting strict time budgets for each section based on the marks allocated. If a question is worth 5 marks, do not spend 20 minutes writing a masterpiece. You are stealing time from other questions. If you get stuck, you must have the discipline to leave a blank space and move on. You can always come back if you have time at the end. Getting emotionally attached to a single difficult question is a trap that destroys exam performance. You have to view the exam paper as a landscape, where your goal is to harvest as many marks as possible, as efficiently as possible. Face exams with confidence by M.K. Devidasan is a powerful reminder that academic success is rarely about raw genius. It is almost always about strategy, self-awareness, and emotional control. Exam fear is completely natural, but it does not have to be permanent. By treating your studies like a professional project, by stepping back and objectively analyzing your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, you take the control out of the hands of the examiners and put it back into your own hands. You stop being a victim of the syllabus and start becoming the master of your preparation. The next time you have a major exam approaching, do not just open a book and start highlighting blindly. Take a blank sheet of paper, draw 4 squares, write down SWOT, face your reality, build your strategy, and then walk into that exam hall knowing exactly what you are capable of achieving.